The night had that wet shine again, streets glowing under drizzle like someone had just lacquered the whole city. My wipers dragged slow arcs, never quite clearing the glass. That's when I heard it, dry paper scraping skin. A man slid into the back seat. No hello, no address. Just a fist clamped around a torn note like it was the only thing keeping him afloat. Go, he said sharp. His finger jabbed toward Bowery. I eased off the curb, Chinatown steaming behind us. The guy leaned forward once, close enough I caught his breath, mint cutting through the damp, then pulled back, shoulders rigid. The paper crackled in his grip, edges jagged where it had been ripped from something bigger. Water stains bled the ink, blue haze in the folds. He didn't look at it, though, just held it like touch mattered more than words. Left again. No phone, no glance at street signs. Just clipped orders, like the city lived in his head. We climbed the Manhattan Bridge, steel trusses glowing orange in mist. His lips moved. Numbers, maybe times, but never for me. He raised the paper under the dome light once. I caught fragments, then it dropped back down. Brooklyn spread ahead, cobblestones slick with rain. He shifted on his knees, still gripping that scrap. His tone softened near a glowing deli. Keep straight. Don't stop. But the grip never eased. The sound of the note rasping against his palm cut sharper than rain. At the Navy Yard, he leaned forward, voice tight. Faster when it changes. Don't look around. I didn't. The light flipped green, water slicking the hood. My cab carried us deeper into streets that seemed to rewrite him block by block. The first real crack came on an empty stretch of Navy Street. No traffic, no pedestrians. Still, he whispered, slower. His knuckles whitened on the torn edge, like the whole ride balanced there. I realized then it wasn't the street steering him. It was that scrap. Cobblestones in Dumbo shone red under taillights, rain dripping from steel shutters. He rubbed the torn top edge with his thumb, the sheet answering with a crack louder than drizzle. For a second the street lamp caught blurred words, then they sank back into staying. Stay right. His voice snapped like a drill order. I hugged the warehouse line. The air shifted from wet brick to rust and oil. A chain-link fence rattled in the wind, his shoulders stiffening until it quieted. He bent the paper, flattened it again, muttering something I barely caught. No lights, not yet. We rolled past a bodega with its gate half dropped, lights spilling onto wet brick. Keep it steady. Don't stop, he said. Fried oil drifted in, warmth against the damp. For a blink, he seemed to fold in on himself. But that paper still owned his hands. The road pulled us past dark warehouses. The drizzle thickened, wipers squealing against glass. I watched him in the mirror, never looking at me, only forward, as if the next turn mattered more than all the others combined. At the Navy Yard's edge, razor wire wet with rain, he lifted the note to his face, hiding half of it. Dropped it again, rasp sharp as metal buzz from the sodium lamps. Left. Keep close to the curb. I followed, tires thumping patched asphalt. A bus lumbered past, windows fogged. He shrank into the seat until it was gone, then let out a breath. The silence stretched taut between his clipped orders. Bridges stiffened him, delis eased him, fences set him on edge. Every block rewrote him. A laundromat steamed up its windows. He told me to idle, never looked at it. His thumb worried a corner where ink bled into blue haze. Next, he said flat, like checking a box. The bleach smell cut through damp air as we rolled back onto Flushing. A train overhead rattled, sparks flashing. His shoulders curled, the paper pressed tight until the sound faded. Pulaski, he whispered. The bridge rose, steel ribs dripping rain. He pinned the scrap to his thigh, palm covering half the ink. A semi roared past, shaking the cab. His lips moved, fragments slipping. Don't lose it. I didn't ask, just kept steady on the incline, the city pressing down harder with each joint we crossed. Queens opened below us, wet streets glowing under sodium light. He eased his grip, lifted the note again. Ink lines blurred, sentences cut mid-thought. Half a life torn away. North, he said. That's not a street. I muttered before I could stop myself. He didn't answer, just folded the scrap tight, slipped it into his jacket, then pulled it out again like he couldn't stand it hidden. Long Island City slid by, graffiti on shuttered diners, towers glowing soft. He sat forward a notch, alert now, like the grid here spoke louder to him. Every gesture carried weight, thumb scraping raw edge, lips mouthing half words. That's when I saw it. Blue ink smeared fresh across his thumb. Too sharp to be old. He didn't notice me noticing. Stay on, Vernon, he barked. His tone had that clipped snap again. We passed an old diner, neon coffee cup buzzing. He loosened a fraction. The scrap lifted like the chipped counters inside gave him permission. At a stoplight, the dome light flicked on. The page flashed, wet fibers shining. A jagged phrase surfaced, ear the north, before vanishing in tear. He snapped it down fast. Kill the light. I did. The cab sank back in a sodium glow and drizzle. His note rasped in rhythm with the ride, a metronome that owned the cab. Queensboro Bridge loomed. We dropped into the lower deck, steel ribs flickering us in and out. In that stuttered light, his face broke into fragments, pieces missing each time the dark cut in. Halfway across, he slouched low. A black SUV rolled past, windows tinted. No chase, no glance at us. Still, his breath hitched, fingers crushing the paper until it crumpled. Only after it was gone did he sit back up, smoothing the sheet like it mattered more than air. FDR North, he ordered. His voice shook now. The ramp smelled of river, diesel, algae, wet stone. He pressed his forehead to the glass, left a fog print, pulled back. Bars of orange light caged him one by one as we slid uptown. His thumb smeared the ink deeper into skin. I asked if he was all right. Don't ask, he said. Then softer, almost. The word dropped heavier than any street name, like it carried the whole ride. Rain thickened, hammering the roof in bursts as we slipped along the FDR. My wipers squealed, catching rhythm again. He leaned into the glass, whispering numbers like he was syncing himself with the city's pulse. York Avenue climbed, Hospital Row glowing through drizzle. Ambulance bays yawned open, iodine sharp in the air. A gurney wheel shrieked against wet pavement, slicing the night. At a cancer center's doors he counted under his breath. 4, 5, 6. Palms smoothing the note like it could breathe. We passed nurses under umbrellas, his jaw tightening. Left. 96th Street stretched slick with mist. He matched the crosswalk signals, counting red blinks, falling silent on green. The torn paper crackled with each shift of his grip, louder than the city. Straight. Don't drift. His knuckle tapped the divider. I kept steady. Astoria Boulevard rose under the elevated tracks, rain dripping from iron. He cupped the note to his chest, both hands now. A train thundered overhead, sparks flashing. He winced, shoulders curling, holding the page like it was armor. I asked before I could stop myself, "Is it a list?" His eyes met mine in the mirror, glassy, cold. Drop back. It's what's left. Silence grew thick, filled only by drizzle and the smell of damp upholstery. He barked sudden. Next block. Left. We turned under a buzzing lamppost. He leaned close to the divider, fogging the glass with his breath. Unfolded the sheet full. Words staggered across it, broken. Alternate Sundays. Ferry 940. Say goodbye. The rip cut each one short. I glanced. He snapped it tight. Eyes on the road. Queens tightened into short blocks. Porches jammed shoulder to shoulder. Curtains sealed the houses. Only stray TV light leaking out. His eyes scanned fast, wired to a map I couldn't read. He whispered again, softer than the rain. Almost. And then, without warning, the note tore clean in his fist. Sunnyside pressed close. Tight porches, low fences, a lamppost that couldn't decide if it was alive. The sodium bulb flickered, painted the hood orange, died, then buzzed back. "Curb," he said, between the hydrant and the bags. I slid in. Trash bags slumped wet against the curb. The 7 train rattled far off, metal clatter weaving through drizzle. He leaned toward the glass, eyes locked on a doorway with a blue recycling bin tipped on its side. The scrap rasped in his fist, fresh fibers fraying. He looked at the paper, then the door, then nowhere. Jaw ticked once, like something misfired. Headlights. Kill him. I clicked them off. The cab shrank to dash glow and lamppost buzz. The meter beeped. He didn't look. We sat. Everything louder in stillness. Fan humming. Water sliding off the mirror. Paper scratching faint in his grip. "Is this the place?" I asked low. "Doesn't matter," he said. It never did. He opened the door, rain shouldering in. Cool air mixing with mint on his breath. One foot on the curb, one still in. The lamppost flickered hard, slicing him into fragments. Jawline, collar, wet hair, then steadied. He leaned back once, placed the torn paper flat on the seat. Gentle, like setting down a fragile bird. "You can toss it." Then he stepped out, walked slow, not like a man heading somewhere, just moving so the world wouldn't tip him over. "Hey," I called. "You forgetting this?" He paused in rain, turned profile. "It's not mine," he said. "Not anymore." The block swallowed him. I sat with the meter running, heater breathing on my knees. The paper whispered on the seat when the cab rocked. I picked it up. Warm still, edges raw. Ink bled into blue haze. Fragments stared back. Ferry 940. Alternate Sundays. Say goodbye. Name cut at the corner. Mar. I folded it once, careful on the tear. Crackle sharp, brittle. For a heartbeat, the lines looked like they shifted in the dash glow. I sat there, rain thinning, lamppost buzzing, train rattling faint. The note lighter now, fight gone. People forget umbrellas, phones, bags. He left half a story, and he meant to. A gust rocked the cab, rattling the loose frame around the meter. Metallic, sharp, wrong. It dragged me back to another ride, another sound that didn't belong. I'll get to that story on the next run. If you're riding with me, don't bail now. Stick around, so you catch the next passenger. I eased onto the ramp, bridge lights stuttering on wet glass. The torn note folded once more in my pocket.